Welcome back to Clean Fairy Magic, everybody. Today we have a champion deck tag. Woo! It's mine! Yeah. It's even better!
Rebecca's turn this time.
So we're just going to go into showcasing the cards, all the cards in the deck, so you can see them all. And also, we're just going to highlight some main ones that I think really stand out.
Yeah, this is really just to highlight, really, the deck that won the game and give our viewers a better, closer look at really the strategy behind the winning deck and just every card, even the ones you didn't get to see played.
So let's dive in! So let's get into the commander. Right, so the commander is Kaalia of the Vast. So let's read her. She has flying. Whenever Kaalia of the Vast attacks an opponent, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that opponent. So really when I was building this deck, you can really tell very quickly what type of creatures you're going to be building in the deck, right? It's got to be angels, it's got to be demons, or it's got to be dragons. I personally went more of the angel demon route. I don't have a whole lot of dragon. There are a couple dragon cards in there, but most of them are going to be kind of a little bit more powerful angel and demon spells that I thought would be really impactful. So that's just kind of the main strategy, right? It's just to get Kaalia out on the board and start swinging and getting your biggest, baddest angel or demon cards on the battlefield as quickly as possible. So here on the screen, we have all of the creatures in this deck. You can kind of see, right? Again, we have a lot of angels and demons. There are some dragons, but I really chose them more for utility than anything else.
Yeah. And really, what were the themes and goals when it came to the creatures in this deck? What were you really trying to focus on?
I think, so there were main themes that I really went for with the creatures, giving a little bit of a balance. So the first thing was really utilizing Kaalia's attack triggers by giving you extra combats. You can see there's multiple cards in this deck that give you multiple combats, and it's just to make sure that we can just constantly be feeding our board state and really utilizing Kaalia's really strong ability to just pump out creatures really quickly.
Yeah, just to be able to get out a bunch of creatures for free. If you got 2 or 3 even combats per turn, that's 2 or 3 creatures for free on your turn.
Exactly. The next thing that I really went for was card draw. Card draw is essential for this deck because you're really just cheating things out pretty consistently with our commander. And if you don't have any creatures in hand, that's almost feels like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, it really makes sense that if you're getting, like we said, if you're having 2 or even 3 combats per turn, that's 2 or 3 cards that you're playing out of your hand for free. You really want to make sure you have a way to refill your hand after doing that. I think there was a point in the game that you even got down to 2 or 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, I have sources of card draw in the deck, and the fact that I did get so low, it was I need to finish this game now or I'm not going to be able to do anything else. So that's why I think card draw is definitely essential for this. The last thing that I really went for was protection. So Kaalia, she doesn't have a whole lot of power, right? She can actually be very squishy and pretty easy to deal with, especially with removal, or even just blockers that can have reach or flying. So I wanted to make sure that when she swung in, that she would be safe in the process along with getting that creature out.
Yeah, Kaalia is not an expensive commander. She's only 4 mana. Yeah. And really the hardest part with that is just finding the 3 different colors that you need. Once you have those, it's pretty easy to get her out consistently, but you don't want to be losing her. Part of the main engine that she needs is being able to attack.
Yes.
And if it feels bad attacking with Kaalia, your whole deck isn't going to function like you want it to.
Well, and the high mana costs. So if you take a look at the creatures, right, and you take a look at their mana costs in particular, I chose creatures that did not have a lower mana cost than 5. 5 was the lowest. There were some that costed up to, I think, 9 or 10. So the goal of this is not to try to cast these creatures, right? It's to really, Kaalia facilitates this these cards entering the battlefield, and when she can't stay on the board, then you're just shut down. So we just wanted to highlight just a few of the cards that I think really like stand out in the deck. So the first one is Sarah's Emissary.
This card, holy cow. We talked about it, me, Benton, and Zach, for probably 5 to 10 minutes after the game, just how busted this card was. Like
It's oppressive.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh yeah.
And here's the thing. So I think I got it out turn 4? Turn 4 or 5. But it's like a. I mean, you wouldn't really want to be like using this card if it's not in a Kaalia deck, or if you can't cheat her out, because she is such a high mana cost. She's 8.
She's expensive.
But she has a really honestly busted ability where you can just choose. You can be protected and your creatures can be protected by the card type of your choice. So I chose creatures, which not only protected from like people attacking me, but my creatures couldn't be blocked. His Scarecrow, Reaper King couldn't even target me, or it wouldn't target me anyways, but target my creatures.
I couldn't even target the creature giving all of our other creatures protection from that. That was the biggest thing that we were kind of having a gripe about, is the fact that it gives itself protection from creatures. It doesn't say like, oh, other creatures you control have protection from the card type of your choice. It gives itself protection as well, and that's just busted.
And it's hard to kind of work around too, because you don't have to go the creature route. I chose the creature route because I was like, okay, people are getting a bunch of creatures out on the board, and also Caden's commander could very easily target Kaalia and just take her back into the command zone, and that was not what I wanted. But you could even go like somewhat of the instance route, so that way none of your creatures can be targeted by removal spells, stuff like that. So I honestly think it's a really fun card. We have a pretty chill play group, I'd say. I think that it's definitely a very strong card. And I'm glad that you guys weren't too bummed that I played it out on turn 5.
The danger now is we know it's in there.
Yes.
And Zach definitely will not be making any more deals.
To
use his instant, removal spell on me anymore.
The easiest deal I made in my life. Not even a question. The next card that I wanted to highlight was Aurelia, the War Leader. We actually got to see this at the very end of the game, and she's a very powerful angel card. And the reason why I included her was due to her extra combat trigger. So when she attacks for the first time each turn, she grants an additional combat, which can in turn help you get more creatures out onto the board.
Yeah, and she's not the only creature in this deck that does that.
Yes.
But we just kind of wanted to highlight her because we did get to see her enter the battlefield, and that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for Benson and I. We just knew as soon as they had multiple combats, it was game over at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys had a decent amount of life left. Like, I had, actually went a lot for Zach first, just because I could see him being the wrench in my plans. So I really made sure I, targeted him first. But the fact that I think you guys had around at least 30 life, between the two of you.
Benson might have been pretty close to full life.
He was almost to full life. But just the fact that just dealing so much damage in combat, around 60. It was a lot. Just to take 2 people out in one round can be pretty powerful, and it can kind of be a little bit crazy, but that's why I included her in the deck. But I think having extra combats with Kaalia can really go off quickly. The last card that I really wanted to highlight, and I love this card. It's maybe not perfect synergy-wise in the sense of it's not in the card draw section, it's not in the extra combat section, or even protection. But he's so much fun to play, and that's right.
This is one of Rebecca's new favorite cards. Rebecca's always kind of been a fan of the demon cards in Magic the Gathering, and this one just kind of checks all of the boxes for her.
Yes. So Valgavoth was the one that I really wanted to spotlight, because he actually did a lot more work than I was even anticipating he would do in the deck. to honestly steal cards that people can cast. Like, that alone can give you some really fun and unique turns, which I really love, like Majestic Genesis. That was in your deck. Zach stole it from your deck. He proceeded to cast it, and then it went into Valgavoth's own little exile party. And then I can pull him out for, right, the mana cost paid in life. But he has lifelink. So, you know, like, there's really great utility with that. You can kind of use people's cards to your own advantage. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, the crazy thing with him is it's any card that enters the graveyard gets exiled and you can cast with his ability. There was even a stage in the game where I had to just discard because I had too many cards in hand, and those just went right to Rebecca. And you can even play lands with Valgavoth.
Yeah,
you can play the cards.
It doesn't say you cast it, it says you can play cards. So if you're struggling on ramp, or not even ramp, but like lands, you can be playing out lands from other people's like little stash.
Well, and really, a lot of people don't appreciate how much life is a resource in Magic the Gathering. You were building up a nice little stockpile there of spells that you could have cast for 15, 20
not
life.
Even a question,
and cast like 5 or 6 spells. It would have been even more of a slaughter than it already was.
Yeah, and the fact that he's a 9/9 with lifelink, I mean, he's pretty much just like refilling the life that you would have lost anyways. So I love the card in the deck. I think maybe is it not like the most perfectly optimized? No. But he's really fun to play, and I honestly really enjoyed it. So that Duskmourn pack opening, that's where we got it from, and I was thrilled to put it in the deck.
Well, and I would say really the synergy that does exist in this deck, though, is the fact that you can get him out for free. He is an expensive mana cost.
He's 9.
Yeah. That is, I mean, you're really waiting until, in most games, turn 7 or turn 8
to get him
to be able to get him out. By that point, he's probably not going to be as effective.
Yeah.
Whereas in this deck, you can get him out by turn 5 for free.
Yes. Here are all of the artifacts in the deck. We obviously have some like mana stones, color fixing, just to make sure that we can get Kaalia out on the board as quickly as possible. The other ones are really there to empower Kaalia. The first card that I really wanted to highlight was Helm of the Host. We saw this in game, and here's the thing, there are multiple ways that you can really go with Helm of the Host. I honestly chose Sarah's Emissary because I actually wanted to start kind of pillow forting myself a little bit, so it's like you can't attack me with creatures, you can't target my things, right? Or you can't target me with sorceries. So I was planning to just create as many copies as I could of Sarah's Emissary, but you can use that with all of the powerful creatures in the deck. Really just making more of your powerful creatures, and it also makes them not legendary. So there are legendary creatures in the deck, but they become not legendary with their tokens. So there's that level there. Another thing too is you can attach Helm of the Host on Kaalia. So imagine not one Kaalia, but 2, maybe 3 Kaalias. And so you can really get a ton of creatures out really quickly. And that's why I included that in the deck.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was a really smart move. I was expecting you to put it on Kaalia.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, you know, the highest value that she's been getting right now is being able to attack with multiple Kaalias, maybe put 2 creatures out on the battlefield from her hand. I thought it was really smart, actually, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
That you chose instead to focus on protection and just giving yourself protection from so many things. That helm had to go fast. I can tell you that. It was...
Yeah, that was one thing that I did not blame you for targeting really quickly, because it can just create, you know, just tokens of your just most powerful creatures, or even the commander, because she's powerful in itself. But I think it's a really fun route. You can decide which direction to go with it, and both can reward you in different ways. The second card in the deck that I really wanted to highlight is Horn of the Mark. With Kaalia's attack trigger, right, we want to be getting creatures out on the battlefield as consistently as possible. So this artifact helps us get creatures out of our library and into our hand. for Kaalia to utilize.
Yeah. We didn't get to see this card come into play. Fortunately for me, unfortunately for you, yeah. But the great thing about this artifact is you can stack the attack trigger with Kaalia's ability. So you can first go look through the top 5 cards of your library, find a creature card, put it in your hand, and then you just put that creature right back out onto the battlefield. Like Rebecca said, it's a great filter card. It really helps you to kind of start going through your library and finding creatures.
The biggest, baddest creatures you can get a hold of.
Yeah, the more ideal creature that you can find, the better.
The last card that I wanted to highlight is Strionic Resonator. With Kaalia's attack trigger, you can copy that triggered ability with Strionic Resonator to not only get 1 big bad creature on the board, but 2 in 1 combat.
Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get to see this artifact come into play either. But really, paying the 2 and tapping it, that's going to be a lot cheaper than actually needing to pay the mana cost for the creatures you're going to get out with Kaalia's ability.
The one thing that I have noticed with the deck is that you're not doing a whole lot of casting, right? There were multiple times that I had like 5 or 6 untapped lands, even as the turn kind of went around, or the round. But honestly, like I'd say, like it's a great way to kind of spend that little extra mana and get some awesome creatures out onto the board. Another thing too that I wanted to kind of point out, a lot of the creatures in this deck, the angels, the demons, they have some really powerful triggered abilities, whether that's the extra combat, the protection, right? For example, Sarah's Emissary. If I played out Sarah's Emissary and I had Strionic Resonator, I could create, right, 2 forms of protection for myself with just 1 card entering. So that's another reason too. You could go that route also. Instead of just copying Kaalia's triggered ability, you can copy the powerful creature triggered abilities that are also within the deck.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you could. It would basically give you the same net gain with Kaalia if you have 2 or 3 combats. The difference is though, it'll give you a lot more damage if you have 2 or 3 combats instead of just having that single combat where you're, you know, doubling her ability and you get 2 creatures out. Instead, having 2 or 3 combats, you can still get those 2 creatures out, 3 creatures out, but now you're also able to do a lot of damage with just each combat stacking on top of each other.
So, I will say, the way I built, this is a very much Rebecca deck.
Yeah, maybe not super optimized when it comes to instants, sorceries, enchantments.
I am known in our play group to not run enough. And so, with like the enchantments, the instants, and the sorceries in this deck, there really aren't very many. There's a total of 15. So we're just going to kind of group them all together.
Yeah. It wouldn't be worth it to highlight, you know, 3 from each category because there's only 3
to begin with.
Yeah.
So the first one that I wanted to highlight out of the enchantments section was Rising of the Day. And when we look at it at first glance, it's like, okay, well, why am I running this, right? Because it gives my creatures haste, right? And like, okay, well, with Kaalia's attack trigger, they're attacking anyways, so like, why would that matter? And the biggest thing, the reason why I include haste kind of options within the deck, even within the artifact section, is just making sure that Kaalia can just get out on the board as quickly as possible and fuel that engine as fast as possible. Kaalia is a very kill on sight commander, right? So there are very likely chances that she can get removed fast. So when you can get her out onto the battlefield and you can pay that mana cost to then be able to immediately attack and immediately get out these strong creatures, can help make sure that, you know, you're feeling a little bit optimized that way.
Yeah, I think really the point of this card is just to have another source of haste for your commander.
Yes. The second one that I really wanted to highlight is Chroma's Will. So this is a very powerful game-changing card.
Kind of a white staple. A lot of it's very well known for white decks to run Chroma's Will for, if you read it, pretty obvious reasons.
Yes, I love it because not only is it really great for protection, right? It gives all of like your creatures indestructible. Gives a lot of amazing benefits, especially when you control your commander, which we're going to be casting this when the commander's out on the board. We're not going to be casting it when it's not, unless there's no other option. But another reason that I really like about it is that it also makes the really scary, powerful creatures in your deck even better, even just for that one turn, giving you lifelink, giving you all these unique abilities. That's why I have this in the deck.
Yeah. As somebody who is a big Chroma's Will fan, I can attest to the fact that it is game winning.
Yes.
If you have even, 3 or 4 lower power creatures on the battlefield, you play a Chroma's Will, you can almost remove, if not 1, 2 of your opponents with just a few low power creatures. And with this deck, you're getting out high power creatures. So as soon as you drop a Chroma's Will,
it's game over.
It's game over.
The last card that I really wanted to highlight is Tempt with Bunnies. I love this card. I think it's a cute premise, right? But it's really useful for this deck. So, right, with Tempt with Bunnies, we're like, we draw a card, and then it's like, hey, you want to build it, or you want to get a little 1/1 bunny and draw a card? Oh, you do? Well, I'm gonna draw a card, right? And for every opponent that does that, you could potentially draw 4 cards in one turn. And that's what I think is so great, is because, you can be tempting them with these cute little bunnies and the free card draw, but you're probably going to be drawing much scarier, badder creatures than they are. And that's what makes it so worth it and so much fun to play.
Yeah, really, if you look at the sorceries in this deck, they kind of have that same theme of just card draw as their focus. And Tempt with Bunnies is just such a fun one. It really is just... If you haven't yet had the opportunity to have either an opponent cast Tempt with Bunnies or you yourself cast Tempt with Bunnies, it is kind of surprising how tempting it is to take that deal
that little bunny.
For that 1/1 bunny and the card draw, even though your opponent is going to be getting
some free
your reward multiple times over for accepting that deal.
Yes. So the biggest thing too with all of the sorcerers, right, is like, do we need that much card draw? Yes, definitely. You want to make sure that, again, you're getting so many creatures into your hand, so you can just really play out the biggest, best creatures in your deck, and they all synergize really well with each other, so you can just start popping off really fast, especially if you keep your hand full. So, the most awesome part of the deck tag.
Yeah, this is what you're all here for, right?
Lands! There's not really anything in particular to highlight here. We've got some basic lands, but we also have some utility lands, or kind of just more for mana fixing.
How many lands total you got in this deck, babe?
39.
Ooh,
39 lands.
It's not 40, folks. We can...
I did take one of the lands that I normally put in for a creature.
Okay.
And it was worth it.
Yeah.
So,
so she's not reached her 40 land minimum.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, but I think it works really well because, like, they're really good at just helping filter and making sure that we get our commander out, because it's kind of terrible to not have like the correct mana or the 3 color. So that's what all these are really honestly about, is just making sure we can cast our creatures or cast our commanders so we can get those big creatures out.
Yeah, just kind of your standard commander deck lands.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching this deck tag. We love just kind of sharing like our fun decks with you guys, and you can try them out. I think they're a blast. They're always a blast to play.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do these deck tags too with 2 people. Usually it's just Rebecca, but it's kind of fun to have this opportunity to kind of bounce off each other and talk about the game just a little bit.
And also, the best thing about this is I won!
Oh gosh.
I just messed with. But anyways, if you liked this video, like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we'd love to hear what you guys think. If there's like a card that you love, or you're like, oh my goodness, this would be so powerful in that deck, and it's not included in the list, comment it, because honestly, I would probably want to put it in the deck. So,
if you
that's
think Rebecca puts too many lands in all of her decks, let us know. That might be a habit she picked up from me.
My deck.
But
But we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.